I have returned. For some reason, it decided to crash and not explain itself. So, RIP! Which, where is my sound alerts? Because that would have been a great time to just bling-a-ding all the noises. It doesn't want to do it now. Ooh, sad. Wait, how do I get it to do the other thing? Ugh, technology. Why are you going to betray me? Na na na. Na na na. Okay, we are good to go. Hopefully, because this Dingicide is now functioning again. Okay, yes, functioning, good. No more stupidities. Anyways, before it decided to be a dingus and crash, last time on Summer's Clover, the common root. If you don't mind me asking, where are all the girls from the club? I'm sure I saw a couple besides Emmy at the track meet, but there's only guys here. What? You looking to pick up? I just transferred in. I don't want to move that quickly. Come on, you could do worse than the girls at the track club. Fitness does wonders for... you know what? After all. He gives me a flat face, but I detect a hint of embarrassment in it. I guess he's a bit of a prude. They're just busy, supposedly. Maybe it was too much of a sausage fest for them. He moves to say something, but as the guy singing ends his round, the next beckons for Hisao to join him on as he walks up to the mic. A Yuko Hazaga? Hazawa? Hazagawa? Nothing less than perhaps the most popular guy in the track club. He's always a cut, graceful figure for a man, bearing slim, refined eyes, impeccably groomed hair, and a gentle face. Far from my type, but the other girls seem to gush over him. The others in the room, whether out of curiosity, friendliness, or teasing, quickly join in and try and make Hisao perform. The guy himself doesn't look enthused, but I suppose that's much due to the pressure as the actual act. You should do it. What have you got to lose? My dignity. I can't sing, you know. Why, you think any of us can? Stop being lame and just have some fun. I put my hand on his back and give him a sharp push off his ass, jolting him into the center of the room. It's only momentary, but as he recovers, he throws an odd glance back at me afterwards. His anxious, almost scared face leaves me speechless. Everything returns to normality in a flash. The boy taking a breath before marching around the table and up to the mic was back hunched and feet dragging, waving down the cheers of those around him as he does. Whatever was going on in his head, it was far beyond just being shy. With nobody else seemingly having noticed, all I can do is sit back puzzled in my seat and take a swig from a soft drink in front of me. As the music starts up and vocals kick in, it becomes obvious that the two are far, far from practice at this. Their voices might not be bad, but they're horrendously out of key. Hisao's shyness is getting the better of him too, which only looks worse next to Yuko's confident demeanor. From the corner of my eye, I noticed the guy to my left leaning forward, his face turning to mine. Name Haruhiko, though everyone calls him Haru. He's a fellow classmate who also had the misfortune of being stuck on the first row of tables. While he may be quite gifted physically, being decently tall and strong, he's far from the sharpest tool in the shed. It matters little, though, as his endearingly cheerful nature and eternal optimism covers for whatever shortcomings he may have. So, what's the over-under on the new guy? I set the drink back on the table, my hand rubbing my neck as I lean back. I don't know what answers he's expecting. I doubt I'll be able to give him any. You're asking me? You're the one who invited him, you know? He paid for my lunch, so I felt like I owed him. That's all there is to it. The corner of his mouth tugs upwards, just a little. You're being honorable. That's a first. Prick. So, do you know anything about him? All I know is he's a nerd who gets bossed around by the shorty in the student council. Heard he used to play soccer. Not half bad at it either. Used to? Something wrong with this. Aro glances at the two of them in the front of the room, both of them being far too distracted with their attempts to make something resembling a decent song to pay us much heed. Satisfied we're communicating in private, he jabs at his chest with his thumb a couple times. He had a heart attack. Real bad, too. Emmy's probably no more. Or the guy himself. He adds the last suggestion as a afterthought, though understandably so. Plenty in Yamaku have their burdens about what happened to them in the past, though I'd be damn hypocritical to complain about it. Come on, a heart attack at that age? It happens. I expect him to admit that what he'd heard was some vague rumor or something, but he just shrugs and looks at me matter-of-factly. What would Hasao be? 17? 18? That's the kind of thing you hear talking about frail old folks. Natural causes and all that. Now that I think of it, maybe that explains why he got puffed so easily back when I saw him at the track. Shit. It's kind of pathetic, but that's the response I can muster as I lean back in my seat. Aro just lets out a dissatisfied sigh, equally put off by the idea. Looking back at the duo finishing up their song at the front of the room, I can't help but see him in a new light. If I had to choose which room embodied the feeling of the school the most, it had to be the library. It looks normal at a glance. Large, sure, but otherwise normal. It's only when you start to walking through the aisles that you realize the little odd allowances for the students. Audiobooks, braille, wider passages, and the like. Then there's a cane or two propped up against the desk of reading students. There's also the old-fashioned steppiness too. Doesn't help that the literature club students are all quiet as mice. But it's something more than that. The furniture, the staff, the general mustiness of the older books are all stifling. My eyes eventually fall on the girl across the table from me. Unremarkable would be perhaps the best description of how she appears. save for the bags underneath her eyes and brace on her knee. For Yamaku, though, that's doing pretty well. If I had to choose which pose embodied the personality of Suzu the most, it would have to be her chin resting on her hand as her eyes lazily scan the manga magazine in front of her. Pardon me a moment, getting thirsty. Much better. Oh no! I forgot to play the music. I feel like a dingus. Well, a good way to segue into the library. The girl looks up, her eyes meeting my own. Her reaction, or lack thereof, is about what I'd expect. Staring is rude. I don't know how you put up with this place. Don't you have anything more exciting to do with yourself? She sighs as I start to rock back and forth in my chair to occupy myself. With nobody else willing to brave the heat, the track club's been largely abandoned for the day. I can think of better things to do than throw myself around an empty track. Then again, the literature club sure makes a dull sight. The closest thing I can see as an actual club activity is half a dozen students sitting around a table, quietly discussing some book or another. Why don't you join them? Following my nod, she glances to her side and back with a minimum of effort, not even bothering to lift her head from her hand. Because I'm busy reading this. Isn't the literature club for discussing literature? Most of us just read whatever. As long as we're quiet and in the library, nobody really cares. So that's all you're gonna do? Read manga? I was sincerely hoping she would just suggest something for us to do, or maybe even socialize, but she simply shrugs and goes back to reading. It's hard to say whether it's out of apathy or being too tired to do much more than this. Then again, I'd be more surprised if I could gauge her feelings. The kind of way to describe her would be ambivalent. But after a year of being with her, I've settled on a diagnosis of possible lobotomy. The air of quiet disapproval never seems to leave her. As she slowly turns the page and continues her reading, a familiar voice draws my attention to the end of the library. The tense voice of Aizawa, hunched over a beanbag in her usual little corner. Isn't difficult to distinguish. Isao sits on the floor beside her, a disarming smile on his face as he softly tries to chat. I can't quite pick out their conversation, but the fact that they're having one at all is pretty impressive. Suzy? Why did I say Suzy? Suzu turns back around as I stop my gawking, her own interest apparently being piqued. She seems to like him. Yeah, they get along well. I might say that, but I have my misgivings. There's more than one story of when girls have tried getting close to her, only for things to go bad for all involved. How much of that is actually true or just gossip? I have no idea, but it's plainly obvious she has a lot of baggage. It might be hypocritical, but I don't have much to get involved. With the way I am, it could only go badly. Isao comes to his feet as their conversation apparently ends, returning from their sanctuary at the end of the library. As he walks by us, a couple of thick novels held to his side. I give a short whistle and motion for him to come over. Odd to see you here. Well, aren't you quick on the uptake? Come on, take a seat. I need someone for company who still has some life left in them. Isao obediently does so, taking a seat and plopping his books down in front of him. A couple of sci-fi novels by the look of them. Not terrible taste. An improvement over Suzu's girly stuff anyways. Suzu, why do I keep saying the two different names? Suzu briefly takes her head from her chin to see the new face. I decide to seize the chance. Isao, this is Suzuki. He gives a warm greeting to which Suzu simply gives a quiet nod. Having reverted to her more shy self, he seems a little more sedated from the other friends of track club, so hopefully she opens up to him a little more than them, given time. So, you're into manga? Are you? A little. To be honest, I don't really follow any of the serialized stuff anymore. I see. With Suzu leaving no opening for the conversation to continue, Isao leans back from the table in disappointment and reaches for one of his books. It's a little sad to see things end this way, and I've told her not to be antisocial. Frustrated, I lean over the table, close my fist, and begin rubbing my knuckles into the top of her head. Ow, ow, ow! Oof, Miki, what have I told you about being like that? Not using much force at all, but her reaction's enough to make me back off rather quickly. The point's been made in the case. So, you're into shoujo then? Is that bad? It's normal enough. Watch the shows? Yeah, this one's getting an adaptation soon, which I'll have to catch. Doesn't that stuff air pretty late? My sleep schedule's all over the place anyways. He's clearly resisting snark given how tired she visibly looks, but wisely thinks better of it. Didn't get much of that stuff on TV back when I came from. So, you used to read it, Hassan? It was good for killing time when wandering town. Didn't spend much time at home. Your parents didn't mind? Both of them worked long hours, so not really. There's a gulf between their concept of what parents allow. But it's understandable for someone as pampered as Suzu, being let to wander so much must be a pretty strange idea. I suppose Hisao's a bit like me in that regard. Well, at the least, someone's familiar with this scene. I had practically none of the stuff back home, so it's largely foreign to me. Speaking of people's homes, I see you were visiting Hanako's little corner. Trying to make inroads with her? Trying is the key word there. Don't look so beaten. You can hold a conversation with her, right? That's more than anyone else in the class has managed so far. That's more to her friend's credit than mine. You really need to learn how to accept praise. My reply is a bit crabby, but admittedly not only because it's a bad habit. Hanako's friend could only be referred to one person, the pretty blonde that she often meets after class. I'm a little jealous of him for getting so close to her so easily. You know, you say it's weird to see me here, but what about you? Reading's my main hobby. And running? That's more like a sentence. It's only because we're in the library that I have to stifle a laugh. Suzu might try to hide it, but the flicker of a smirk flashes on her face as well. True bonding through the misery of others. I guess you're all set for exams then? Why do you say that? You're with Muto all the time, you know? Guy's got high hopes. You get ridiculous marks for most of your subjects too. That's because I work for them. This guy catches on way too quickly. I might not pay attention in class, but he doesn't have to burn me like that. Suzu's attention is plainly wrestled from her reading material, looking generally impressed. As much as her stony face can, anyways. That's harsh, man. You're strongest in math and science, correct? Yeah. Could you look at something I couldn't get when we get back to class? Sure, no problem. Doesn't hurt to work it all out before exams come up. Exams. I hate that word. The mood of the class has already begun to sour thanks to the anxiety and stress they cause. It's only going to get worse in the weeks ahead. Or at least, they're useful for something. If studying's going to be how she expands her social circles, then all the better. Given how hard she works for her rather average marks, maybe he can help turn things around. I've always found the cafeteria to be a fun place to watch people. Deftly maneuvering through the rapidly filling room after being among the first to have their tray filled by the old ladies behind the counter. Oop, pardon me. And I have returned. Anyways, wah, 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 wah. Nope, that's not even the right thing. Why am I opening other documents? Defiantly maneuvering through the rapidly filling room after being among the first to have their tray filled by the old ladies behind the counter. I can't help but glance around at the other students on my way to a free table. By rights, the cafeteria should be a melting pot. Students from every club, class, condition, and year level are here. And with everything in their uniform, The difference between rich and poor, country and city, fashionable and unfashionable, fades to nothing. But people are people. They still find a way to stick to their cliques. The track club members form a chum as they playfully josh one another as they do a bunch of the deaf students huddling together in the impenetrable little social circle while signing in their silent second language. There's a gaggle of popular girls with their posses, and the odd trio of less popular girls who stick to their few friends. The rowdy class clowns who loudly joke and act out, and the softly spoken academics who keep to themselves while shuffling along. Everyone have their niche, even if that niche consists of only one. Settling my tray at the empty table, I separate the disposable chopsticks using the tips of my fingers as always. Strength comes surprisingly useful when you largely rely on one hand for manipulation, with the two conjoined sticks easily splitting apart. While I would hesitate to say it's great, the food here is still pretty good, filling and by far satisfying enough to live on for quite a while. Can't complain about the price either. It doesn't take long for company to arrive after I've started eating. Familiar figure silently seats herself from the table from me. Suzu simply begins to eat without a word. Such things are not unusual for her, so I simply look down and continue with my own lunch. As I shovel rice into my mouth, I find myself especially pleased with how they cooked it today. Not too dry, not too sticky. Ditching the chopsticks and gobbling down some soup, it turns out they've done a good job with it too. Whether Suzu's enjoying her lunch as much as I am, as always, is a mystery. Looking past her, two of the three stooges come into sight. With my hand taken, I end up waving my stump around the air to get their attention. It does the job, with the duo changing course and heading our way. Afternoon, Miki, Suzuki. Suzu pauses to eating to nod at the both of them, as I do. Hisao moves around to take a seat beside me with his juice and a packet of bread, while Haru maneuvers himself to the end of the table, holding a suspiciously plain cardboard box with a equally suspicious care. What's with that? Hisao just shrugs as I lean over and ask him. Haru just gleams a smile in response, settling the mystery box and lifting the top off with practical ease. Juice time. Hisao just shrugs as I lean over and ask him. Haru just beams with a smile in response, settling down the mystery box and lifting the top with a practical ease. As the sides fall away, a gorgeous looking red and white sponge cake is revealed. A thick layer of cream separates the two layers of sponge, and another sits atop the cake. Big, succulent strawberries circle the outer rim, each sitting on its own a further blob of cream. Finally, a light dusting of frosting covered the cake, like a thin shower of snow. It's beautiful, as expected of Haru. You're drooling. Don't care, give me that. He might be criticizing me, but Suzu's attention is just as focused. Her sweet tooth is getting the better of her as the cafeteria food before her languishes. Right, just hold on a moment. He takes a plastic knife, cunningly carrying inside the box, and sets about cutting a few slices. Looks like the cake's already had a good third eaten. So, what's the story? Whose? Let's start with the cake. Made too much during home ec class. The teacher doesn't mind me baking my own stuff as long as she gets some. So, you're into baking? Sure am. Might not have many talents, but I'm good at the ones I have. As he gets back to cutting it up, I look around for an answer to the second question on my mind. Where the third stooge has gotten himself to? As my eyes fall on him, I can't help but a weak grin. Suzu notices my staring and twists her head around to see, but turns back to the cake in short measure. Sure enough, he's standing around chatting up a couple of girls. I might not see the appeal in his appearance, but I can admit that he pulls off an air of confidence well. Even without hearing what he's saying, and going by the bashful little smile of the long-haired girl she toys with her hair, the others excited chatting, he's making good progress with both. Is he always like that? I swear he was with a couple girls last week. Believe me, you have no idea. Some people bake, some run, some study, and some pick up women. As if he'd heard me, Yuko looks up from his companions to see Hisao and me staring. Sensing an escape, he nods to us and seemingly explains that he wants to come our way. The girl with the longer hair is about to follow him over before her friend stops her, gesturing at me while frowning. It's hard to be hurt by something you deserve, as the both quickly decide to walk off. I can take solace in that at least my reputation helped Yuko. And how are we today, ladies and gents? Good, 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 good. Don't be too enthusiastic now. He takes a seat beside Suzu, giving her a brief, disarming smile as he does. She visibly wilts, despite her doing her best to avoid doing so. Haru looks back at the cake, but frowns as he begins to slice another slice. We'll have one more slice if we have people. Should have worked out that first. Dibs on the double portion. Piss off, Suzuki gets double. Thank you? Hold on. What's the criteria here? Is it because she's a girl? A polite young girl, yes. What about me? I'm a girl too. Only when it suits you. I get up out of my chair to get some height over him, which he responds in kind. Oh yeah? How about you try having periods? Piss off, we have to. Look at me, I'm a man. Oh no, I have to shake my face. I have dreams that give me orgasms. How terrible. Well, maybe if you would be treated like a girl if you actually acted like one. Huh, what's that? I can't hear you over bleeding from my genitalia and feeling like I've been sucker punched in the gut once a month. You're making my point for me if you don't go on about your bloody periods while we're eating weed. Maybe I would act like a girl once I get free crap for being one. Miki, Yuko, please. Isao looks to Suzu for help as we snarl at each other, but all she's doing is burying her face in her palms, trying not to exist. I want to thump Yuko for being an ass, but in contrast to the busy hum of students on before, the sudden silence surrounds us reminds me that we're in a cafeteria. Submitting to Hisao's begging, we both fall back to our seats, neither of us admitting that the argument is over. As if the altercation had never happened, Haru passes the extra slice to Suzu, earning a shy nod of thanks. It only serves to make Yuko all the more pissed for some reason. But before I can step in to diffuse the situation, Hisao does the job for me. What brings you here, Yuko? Oh, it's a woeful tale. A terrible curse has struck me again. Day after day this happens, and only so rarely can I find refuge from its grip. He's totally making an ordeal out of it, clutching at his chest and emoting as hard as he can. Even if it's for an audience of one, he still likes playing the orator. It's a shame he stopped acting, really. I'm just too popular. What? Girls just fall over themselves for me. It's been like that ever since high school started. And anything, it's only become worse. Oh, what would I do to get these women off me? I tell them I'm not interested, but it only makes them try all the harder. You can't be serious. Haru begins to come around to each of our seats, settling down a slice before each of us before sitting beside Hisao. I quickly take into mine as soon as I can. The wonderful taste of cream and strawberries fill my mouth. Befriending this guy was the best decisions ever. It's true. He ended up quitting drama and switching to the track club just to lower his profile. Hisao suddenly clicks his fingers in a flash of insight. Ah, that explains it. I knew that face on the posters was yours. You must still work for them sometimes, right? Yeah, though it's mostly organizing new recruits and helping from behind the scenes stuff. They probably use my face to draw in a bigger crowd. He smiles, fails as he looks down at his dessert, cloud of despair hanging overhead. I wonder how many girls he would get if he let the side of him show through more often. Man, it's really is a pain. Those girls are loud and obnoxious. I can't stand them. I might not be the best judge, but I really don't understand your appeal, physically at least. You don't? You do? I see an opportunity to both tease and stroke my own ego. So, I take it without hesitation. Who do you think is hotter, me or Yuko? I lean around Hisao and stare intently at Haru, with Yuko reluctantly doing the same. Haru's taking this surprisingly serious, his head moving between our faces with a look of total concentration as he brings his fingers to his stubbled chin. Seconds pass, with Hisao and Suzu's interest obviously piqued as they stare and eat at the same time. Everybody's on edge as we wait for his judgment, with Yuko's face slowly moving further and further back. I'd have to say Yuko. I'm a little disappointed in the answer, but the look on Yuko's face more than makes up for it. That's a joke, right? No, not at all. I can definitely see why girls like you. You're the last person I wanted that kind of praise from. Smiling at his discomfort, Hisao finishes cake and gives dual compliments to Haru, which I heartily second. Come to think of it, haven't you got a lot of female friends, Hisao? Maybe you could give the stud here some tips on how to friend zone like a pro. Thanks. I'm not interested in keeping them as friends. I just want them to piss off. Here. He plucks the strawberry from his dessert and plops it on top of Suzu's eaten slice. She doesn't even notice, given her attention's been focused on trying to get through the first without dropping crumbs everywhere. He waits for a reaction to his act of kindness before giving up and hanging his head in defeat. I don't think Yuko's having a good day. Well, there you have it, Hisao. These are the losers I hang out with. They're not so bad. Haru clamps onto Hisao's shoulder and gives him a playful shake. It's nice to see Hisao loosening up, even if it's just a little. Walking into class, my gaze immediately falls on Suzu's desk. Each and every morning she enters into class long before I do. Though I might have hoped to catch her out, today is no different than any other. It's one of life's small wonders. I never did understand how someone in a perpetual state of sleep deficiency manages to get here on time every day. Well, it's not like I don't understand how so much as why. I suppose it's a lie to say that nothing at all is different, though. Her head may be resting in her hand as it is always, but rather than looking out the window, her eyes are on the guy casually speaking with her in front of her desk. Suzu and Hisao talk to each other surprisingly quick. She doesn't seem particularly interested in actually conversing, but just giving him the time of day is more than she gives other guys in the track and field club, or as she calls them, which isn't wrong really. Yo! The two of them react in unison to the sound of my voice. Hisao turning his body towards me as Suzu moves a little bit more of her eyes. Their normal morning greetings come to a halt as almost they begin. Suzu just sighs as Hisao faces, as it often does. Turns to mild concerned? Are you okay? He motions to his left cheek, my own fingers mirroring him out of reflex. It takes a moment to realize that what he's referring to. I haven't looked in the mirror, but there's no doubt but a big bruise right there about now. I kinda got a bit rough with another guy. We're cool, don't worry. Again? This happens often? You have no idea. I disarm with a stupid grin as I scratch the back of my neck. Both of you seem rather accident-prone. Then again, maybe accident is the right term for you. The loud clapping of hands behind me would make me jump if it were less obvious whose hands belong to. As Mito clears his throat and tries to shepherd the gossiping class into their seats, Hisao obediently takes his leave of us, and I turn to my seat. The fact that he's addressing the class instead of me is cause of a mental sigh of relief. He wouldn't take kindly to casual talk of a scrap between students. And his classroom lectures are boring enough without being subjugated to another on the subject. Oh, and Miro, I'll see you after class. Damn it. And this is where we will, end our streamy chatty chats on this, because we're basically halfway through the common route now, so we can pick this up another day. Let me escape that screeny screen. And I do need to stop the musics.
Where's your spot?
Which does require me to stop that too. Oh, so much technology. Where is the lo-fi? There you are. Huzzah, I am alive. That is a lot of reading. I have not done a loud reading in a while. Definitely need to stop being so not it's the opposite of dry mouth problem. Hey, come here, my juice. Munchy and crunchy, delicious. But I think I will finish upstream for now, because I have the day off tomorrow. I mean, I should play some more of the scary game tomorrow. That'd be a good time. I might play Dakarashi, or I might look at more of my writing and typey some more. Who knows? The decisions are there. Anyways, we are done with streaming. We shall depart once I finish some water. That way, if you're watching, you drink some water too, because you have to be responsible. That was not needed. I should probably just play the Summer Clover game instead of trying to read it, because it's a lot of reading. And I don't know, maybe I need to find a different way. Maybe if I was laying down and reading it, it would be easier. Who knows? I will figure that out, which does mean I need to go figure out what I'm doing with Nightbot, because it has too many regulations on it. Like, it was doing spam caps. Well, at least this didn't crash again, so we're good. But yeah, that's all I have to say. We're going to goodbye, good nights, end of streamy streams. Have a good night. Goodbye.